Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to Wayne's World. Sometimes it seems like computers change the way they work even more than we change our socks. Um, there's always that uh, expression, if a computer got a problem, get one of your kids to come help you. Well, it needn't be that way, and quite often kids can only do certain things. If you want to one-up them, I encourage you to listen along. There are a lot of terms on computers that come about. That some of them have double meanings. I got a desktop at home, but there's so much clutter on it I can't see it, and that's true. Sometimes my desktop on my computer does the same thing. I thought an icon was a famous movie star or national celebrity or something, but computers have icons, and I know what files and folders are. I have file cabinets full of them, both at home and at work, and not very well organized. But here's an example I want to talk about. We work with files and folders a lot using computers, and sometimes we lose them, and we just have all kinds of problems with them. But let me give you an example here. Someone may suggest to you that highlighting and clicking and dragging those files right over to the folder that's a great way to organize your files. And someone else may say, well, what I do is I do Control X. I click the file, do Control X, and then I go to the folder I want it and open that folder and click Control V and paste it in there. Well, there are a lot of tips given that sometimes frustrate us a little bit. Some experienced users, they take little or no thought relating the experience of related to the experience of the computer user. Some terms are misleading, and they can cause frustration a whole lot faster than being helpful. So why do you think so many people get frustrated? Because could it be because they didn't know exactly what was said? The truth is, this mystery of the computer, there's many different ways to do common computer tasks. As a beginner, let me encourage you. Uh, don't listen to multiple ways. And when someone tries to say you can do this or that, tell them you'd like to focus on this rather than that. And once you get this down, then you'll consider that. We're going to cover some basic terms, and then we're going to learn how to use the keyboard and mouse a little bit. We'll learn how to do basic skills such as creating and saving files. We're going to compare some operating systems and applications. We're going to choose an operating system that works best for you, and we're going to talk about which operating system is best. And then lastly, we'll close out with looking at some tips for choosing a new computer. Take notes if you want to, so you can ask questions in our forum online. Have you ever listened to two doctors talking about in their technical language, or trying to explain something to you using terms that are over your head? It would make things a whole lot easier if you were both on the same page. And some doctors really try to come down to your level and my level to tell us things that we can understand, especially when they see that deer in the headlights stare when they tell us something. Sometimes that happens with computer users as well. Average computer users need to know basic terms to gain confidence when discussing computers. And you know what? You're never too old to learn. So take the time and pick up a few computer terms so that you can discuss certain things. I just zipped through one slide there, but we do so many things on computers. What happens when the computer gets sick? Then you got to tell someone what's wrong. Here's something I hear all the time. My computer's running slow. I can't get it to work. Well, it may have a virus. It may have hard drive problems. It may even have a brain problem, which is called the CPU, which we'll discuss a little bit later. It's hard to tell what's wrong with a computer unless you actually examine it. Just like it's hard to tell what's wrong with you physically without having a doctor examine you. You can give a computer person just a better reason why, or a better explanation rather, by just telling them, hey, I was browsing the web, and over a course of time, I just had it just seems to not operate as fast as it was. That way they know that, it's probably a software problem. It could be malware slowing your computer down browsing the web. Because sometimes the computer runs slow browsing the web, but it runs fast when you're writing a document. So there's got to be a problem with the web, right? If it runs fast everywhere else. But if it's running slow doing all tasks, then there's a problem. Um, let's talk about icons a little bit. It's a frequent term, and icons a small clickable graphic. Um, these icons represent the location of where files are or folders, and it can be in two forms. One form is a shortcut. The other form is just an icon representing the file or folder. Uh, the icon on the left is a folder on the desktop. It's not a shortcut. You delete that, you delete the folder. On the right, it's just a shortcut. You delete that shortcut, all you're doing is deleting the shortcut. You're not touching what the program is. The icon on the left represents a Microsoft Word shortcut. You see it's a shortcut because of that shortcut arrow. The one on the right is an XAMPP control panel. It's a shortcut, see, because there's that little shortcut arrow. So the left is a link to a file desktop. The right is a link to a file on the computer. Here's a desktop. Now I could ask you quickly to give me an answer. What kind of desktop operating system is it? Is it Windows? Is it Macintosh? What kind of? Then I'd have to tell you quickly. It is Windows. That's what I'm most familiar with. But okay, now what operating system is it? Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8? What version of operating system is it? Well, this is a Windows 8 desktop. It's the reason I can tell you that is if you look down on the left-hand column or left-hand corner, you won't see a start button. And Windows 8 8.1 does not have a start button. You can get a third-party button put on there, and most do, but Windows 8 doesn't come with a start button. It comes with this little Metro kind of thing here. It's called a Metro by many, and Microsoft just calls it a Windows 8 UI, user interface. It covers the layout a little bit different. It's basically designed for tablets and carried over to desktops. It doesn't work too well on desktops because scrolling with a mouse is not the same as scrolling with your fingers, causing it to go along. Let's look at a bottom, or not really the bottom. Some put this taskbar on the side, some at the top. Quite often though, and by default, the taskbar is located at the bottom of your screen. Think of the taskbar as three different parts. The far left section contains a start button, unless you have Windows 8.1 or Windows 8. Then there's a list of commonly used program icons that are pinned to the taskbar, and we'll talk about pinning a little bit later. Then the far right side is where your time and date is. Pinned icons on a taskbar are really, let's go back a little bit here. Those pinned ones, let's go back one more. The pinned icons are icons that always stay there even when you close the program, and you can pin the icon just by right mouse clicking the icon as it's on the taskbar and telling it to pin it. You can also unpin it the same way. It's programs that you use the most. You'll notice I use Windows, I use Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. I also use Fireworks, and there are others there that are always there for me. By default, there's some default pinned ones. Looking on the left, you'll see Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. Those are all pinned to it. The time and date, and there's also a drop down arrow which shows all the programs running in the background of your computer. It also shows if you have a internet connection, and then you can also adjust the sound from that side. Let's look at some different components on a computer. First of all, the CPU. The central processing unit, or CPU as most call it, is the brain of your computer. It processes all the tasks, and they're changing, I want to say daily, but they change so often. They make changes. If you got a computer this year and someone bought a computer last year, you probably have a newer processor, because these processors change quite often, and they have different levels. You can buy the cheapie, you can buy the mid-grade, or you can buy the fast one, or the faster one, and you pay for it. There are different brands. Intel is the most common brand. Here we have a motherboard, and this motherboard is uh, houses all of the components of the computer. That white square to the right of center, that's where the CPU goes. And just below it, you have RAM. Um, let's talk about RAM for just a moment. RAM is random access memory. And the best way to explain RAM is to think of RAM as short-term memory in a computer. In other words, when the computer's turned off, whatever is stored in RAM is lost. It doesn't store your files or your information. RAM is used to execute programs, and sometimes when you have a lot of programs open, your computer goes slower because it's out of RAM, and it's using memory that it creates off of your hard drive just to get to work. When you double click your word processor to open it up, it uses RAM to access all of those files. The more RAM you have, now if you have an older system, the most RAM that you can use is 4 gig. Newer systems can use above 4 gig, 8 gig, 16 gig, 32 gig. But you got to have all the other components to address that higher RAM as well. So most common computers today, 8 gig of RAM is a common. 16 is used in for gaming computers and different ones. Now, the next kind of storage, or next kind of memory that I want to talk about for just a moment, is ROM. And ROM is the kind of memory that is stored that can't be changed, like a disk has ROM in it. Your computer has what's called BIOS that sets up how the components address each other, and what boots up first. For example, when you turn your computer on, what's it going to access first? Is it going to access your hard drive or your CD-ROM? And what time is it? All of that stuff is set up in ROM. It's not memory that can be easily changed. Of course, on a CD, it's you do have ones that you can erase, but they're not very common. Most of them, once you copy them, they're there. Sometimes storage is called ROM, but it's not really ROM. It's just simply storage. Storage is memory. It comes in different formats. You can store it. Looking at that picture in the upper right-hand corner, that's an older type of storage. And in the middle is a quite common one today, a USB storage. Then you have internal and external hard drives that also uses high volumes of storage. Now we're up into 3 terabyte or so storage to store all your pictures and all your videos and all the documents and everything. You're using storage. Let's look at operating systems. Here we have different operating systems. These operating systems for here is the upper one is the Windows 8. Notice it has that Metro, or Windows User Interface. And then right below it, we have a Mac operating system. To the upper right hand corner, what's that? Well, that's Windows 10. Windows 10 is out, and as a matter of fact, I'm giving this presentation on a Windows 10 computer. And right below it is a operating system that I like. It's free. It's a Linux operating system called Ubuntu. This operating system is written by programmers that aren't charging for. They'll take donations, but you don't have to pay anything, and it comes with a lot of great features. It has a built-in not Microsoft, but Office suite. It has documents writers. It has word processor rather. It has spreadsheets. Uh, all kinds of. It also has a presentation program like similar to the one I'm using right now, and it's all free. You can put it on your computer, and it uses a graphic user interface just like the other operating systems, and so you can learn it. But you'll notice on here that the uh, taskbar is on the left side. You can install programs to put it to create a new desktop and put the taskbar on the bottom. But it's if you have an old system and you don't want to buy a new computer, but it's good enough that you can put something like this on it. And all you do is check your email and all you and do shopping and stuff like that on the internet. It's a great system if that's all you do. Let's look at different apps. Here we have a word processor, and this word processor is um, Windows Microsoft Word rather. It's sometimes I have people say I can't find my Microsoft Windows, and you'll notice that I've said it a couple times. It's because Microsoft creates the operating system. They also create a great Office suite, and I've used this Office suite since the early 90s when it came out. It is looks a little bit different now than it did when it first came out, but this is an application. This application is run by graphical user interface. You could use any one of the actually you could use all four of these to access Microsoft Word. But the bottom two you have to have special ones. For the Mac OS you have to purchase the Mac version of Microsoft Office. And in the lower right hand corner you have to install a program that would allow you to use the Windows version. Here's an app, and this app is one that developers use most of the time, and most common users don't use it very much. It's the command app. Instead of using a graphical user interface, many old timers use this to do common tasks or certain tasks on the computer that they don't want to use a graphical user interface for. Putting them by side, you have apps, two different kinds. The one on your right is usually called something like an applet. This applet, they have others like a calculator, a calendar, different little applets. There's also a word processor that's an applet. It allows you to type letters and things like that, but it doesn't have all the features that Microsoft Word has. Here we have the control panel. The control panel is the main configuration page in Windows, and if you're not familiar with this section, I would stay away from it. There are different, like if you want to remove a program, you would come to the control panel and you select program and features and remove that program. If your mouse, you wanted to adjust your mouse, you'd come to here and double click the mouse icon and change the speed or whatever you need to do with that. You could access different things like your printers. There are administrative tools. Those are the ones I caution you about going to. You could really cause some damage. You could, if you don't know what you're doing. So this is the the control panel, and it's in Windows. The other operating systems have a similar version, but it's not called control panel. I'm going to click this little button here and show you how to create and save a file in Microsoft Word. You may need to turn up the volume a little bit. Well, we're back now, and I apologize for that sound. The clip was just a little bit low on volume, uh, but it showed you the basics on how to save files. Now, I remember when I mentioned that autosave feature. Their WordPad version applet that's in Microsoft doesn't have an autosave feature like Microsoft Word has. Microsoft Word has an autosave feature, and you can set it to save at intervals, whether it be 10 seconds or 10 minutes or whatever you want it to save for, and it will save your work so that if you lose power, then your work will be, at least the most you'll lose is whatever you have the auto feature set for. Here we have a keyboard and mouse, and this keyboard and mouse I have pictured here is wireless. Uh, there are no wires to get in the way, and I want to talk just a little bit about them. And this keyboard design is supposed to be for comfort, the way the keys are set to make it easier on you to use. Looking at these keyboards, I want to talk about a couple important things. Control Alt Delete, you hear that all the time, and that Control Alt Delete is in different spots. The delete key changes spots depending upon the keyboard, or if you're in a laptop, that thing moves in different places. But those three, if you press those three at the same time, it will pull up a menu for you to perform various tasks like shut down or go to Task Manager, whatever you need to do. When someone says Control Alt Delete, you press all three at the same time to invoke that command. Looking at the mouse, the left mouse button, it moves the pointer to any position on the click to do work. If you double click it, it will open a file. If you click on it, it'll move to that position on the screen. And the wheel in the middle, a lot of them have wheels. It can be used to scroll up and down pages and different things. The right mouse button is generally used to bring up menus. If you right mouse click on a file, you would have the opportunity to cut or copy or paste whatever is available to you in that menu. And there are different menus based on what program you're in or where you're at. You can change these settings in control panel that I showed you. You can make the left mouse button do the become the right mouse button, and then when you click the right mouse button, it'll go to wherever it's at, and the double clicking the right mouse button when you have your pointer over the whatever it is you're working on, the file or folder, it will double click in the right mouse button would then do that. If you really want to mess with someone, you can go change their mouse settings, and then they'll never figure out how to move their computer. Husbands, I don't recommend you doing that, and wives, I don't recommend you doing that. It wouldn't be good. Let's look at the different versions of Windows. The top version here is Windows 7. Of course, you know the middle is Windows 8, and the bottom is Windows 10. There are a lot of Windows 10 has been, when it was rolled out, it's been free to a lot of people. You can upgrade for free. Just go and get it and install it. I hadn't figured out what the ulterior motive is for that, but you can get Windows 10 on your computer. And here we have an Apple. Notice this has a similar thing to a taskbar on the bottom, different things that you can do. Apple is very good for video and audio. It has some great software for that. If you are editing audio or editing video, you can't beat this operating system. It's quite expensive, and it comes in both desktop and laptop, but it is good. This I talked about earlier is an Ubuntu system. You can change the layout of the desktop. You can install new desktops and make it work almost like Windows. You can change the background and all of that stuff. It's very good if all you do surf the net, check your email, watch videos, listen to music. You can do all of that through this, and it's free. So which one's the best? Well, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, the Ubuntu's the best. If you have a lot of video editing you want to do and audio editing, if that's what you want your computer for, then I recommend a Mac. If you want access to the majority of new programs that are out there that are for a desktop or for a laptop, Windows has ones that are most common: Microsoft Office and various other programs that are used. But you know, there's a lot of different things out there now. Tablets have really come to power. Tablets are different types. You'll notice the Surface tablet, which is Windows. Samsung has some great tablets, and of course you have iPad. Mac has, or excuse me, Apple has both the minis and regular iPads, and they come out with an iPad Pro. It's a little bit bigger than that. You have laptops. You have gaming computers and different desktop types of computers. So what in the world do you how do you make a choice? Well, I tell you this: make a choice depending upon your needs. If you want a desktop, I like to sit in front of a big screen and type and listen to music or watch a video or I do programming, so I use a desktop a lot, especially for computer programming. But on the go, I have a I have a Motorola Zoom tablet. I have a Samsung smartphone. I use all of those every day, but I don't. And I have a laptop, of course. I use all of those, and it depends on what I'm doing as to which one that I'm using. If all you use a computer for is to surf the net and check email, a tablet may be a good choice. They're kind of fragile, so make sure you get a good case, and you can take it on the go with you. But remember, taking it on the go, in order to use a tablet, you've got to have some way of accessing the internet. Now there are a lot of places you can go, like restaurants and different places where you have the wireless, but smartphones seem to have one up on that, because you don't have to have free wireless from an external source. You actually have it right there within the phone, and you can surf the net, do whatever you need to do as long as you have service. So there, in a nutshell, is a brief overview of different terms and terminology and how to do basic things. So I encourage you to look this over. I encourage you to go to the forum and ask any questions to this presentation. Also, there's some little lessons in there that you can go through to brush up your skills and to polish your knowledge of the computer. I encourage you, get in there, and I've put a lot of links in there that I didn't write those links. I didn't write what's at the links. There's some people that took the time and tried to help out people wanting to know more about computers. So I encourage you, take those little lessons and build upon them and ask questions in the forum. I'll be there visiting there, on a daily basis, and if I see a question, I'll answer it. If we need to talk, you can call me. Whatever it is we need to do to, but the most important thing is practice. If you don't practice, you won't learn, and if you don't spend a little bit of time, being a teacher as well, I found that you lose half of what you learn the first day, and then it begins to go down after that. So if I told you something today, and next, unless you're, and there are exceptions, but most of you, what I told you today, you will forget half of it by tomorrow, and it'll start going down, and so that in next week, if you haven't practiced it, you've lost it all. So get in there and ask questions and learn and practice and use what you learn. A question worth answering? Here we go. So you saved a file using Microsoft Word, and you don't know where the file went. You notice these two. Here we have the student, and then we have the teacher. Sometimes it gets a little frustrating trying to find work that you might have created. Then sometimes it's very simple. The answer is very simple if you just calm down a little bit and think. So what is the default location where these files are saved in Microsoft Word? Is it in Documents, My Files, or Program Files? My Files, you think? Do you have that on your computer? Probably not. Well, let's see. Program Files sound like a good place. That's where files that run the programs are. Okay. Well, we've used the other two, so this is it. Documents is in Windows. In the older versions of Windows, it was called My Documents, but in Windows 7, 8, and 10, it's just called Documents. So thank you for your interest in the computer knowledge, and go ahead and complete the course and continue to practice.